need to help each other and work through those things, and I feel like that's always been part of the show.
I don't think that Thomas is going to stop soon. I think Series 19, I think we'll be going way past 25.
Let's not beat around the bush here. The Thomas & Friends franchise is essentially in shambles right now. We've got a grand total of one thing keeping the franchise afloat, and despite there being a small group of people who enjoy it, it's almost unanimously agreed to be absolute dog water. If you ask a lot of people, they would probably tell you that the show ended in 2020 with the Royal Engine. But is that to say that the franchise is dead? Well, yes and no. I've already discussed whether or not the franchise is dead in a previous video, but in this video we're going to be taking a little bit of a lighter route and to look at the future of the Thomas & Friends franchise, and what the future holds in store for us. So, let's start with the obvious. The Mark Forster Thomas movie is the thing that we unfortunately know the least about. Much like what the Thomas Theorist said in his video, it could be about literally anything. It could be an adaptation of the books. Again, it could be about a Thomas toy coming to life, and I mean hell, it could even potentially follow the footsteps of the cancelled World War II Thomas movie. But if you ask me, I personally think that the Thomas movie is going to take inspiration from a movie that recently released, which saw over $1 billion at the box office and glowing critical reviews. I'm of course talking about Barbie. If you somehow haven't seen the Barbie movie, then let me just give you a quick rundown. The Barbie movie took a drastic detour from its source material, and instead of crafting a higher budgeted animated movie with celebrity voice actors like how the Mario movie did, it decided to go down the route of being a genuinely phenomenal movie with a touching message, genuinely interesting characters, and castings that I still cannot believe they got so perfect. You're probably thinking to yourself, how is Thomas going to follow up from this? Because when it comes down to it, Thomas and Barbie are two very different franchises with two very different core concepts. When approaching a movie about Barbie, certain aspects kind of sorted themselves out, like how Barbie and Ken were already made to look like people, and so all they really had to do was cast real people who would pull in general audiences. Whereas Thomas kind of shoots itself in the foot, because no matter how many celebrity voices you plaster onto it, it's going to be difficult to get general audiences to go and see a Thomas the Tank Engine movie. If I'm being totally honest with you, I have serious doubts about this movie even going forward. I hate to be a downer here, but I really can't see a Hollywood Thomas movie being a financially sound idea. Barbie definitely soothed my worries a little bit by showing that a movie based on a kid's property can work, but like I said, Thomas and Barbie are two completely different monsters. Something that recently came to light though that actually gives me some proper hope for the Thomas movie is the news that an animated Bob the Builder movie is reportedly in development, with Anthony Ramos of Transformers fame to play the titular character. This could mean a lot of things. On the one hand, it kind of gives me hope for a high-budgeted animated Thomas movie, but at the same time it kind of worries me because we have already heard more about this alleged Bob movie than we have about the Thomas one. It's still unknown as to when the Thomas movie will release, and we haven't had an update of the movie for a long while now, actually since its announcement. So either it's silently being worked on, or they've silently cancelled it. 2025 is going to mark the 80th anniversary of the Thomas & Friends franchise. A pretty big milestone if you ask me, with the exception of the rumour that the pilot is going to be revealed for the 80th anniversary, which I hate to say it, but I highly doubt that's true. We have no idea what there could be for the 80th anniversary. If I was to take a wild guess, I would probably say that there will be a special episode of All Engines Go. A 45-minute movie thing maybe? I would like to think that they would release some kind of box set of the series or re-release the Railway series in its entirety, but that is very wishful thinking. Considering they got one of the roles involved for the 75th anniversary, I do believe that there will be something big, but what that thing will be is beyond me. I mean hell, for all we know, they might not even do anything for the anniversary. Like I've mentioned many times before, the Thomas franchise is pretty dead at the moment. When it comes down to it, I truly do hope that we will get something monumental for the 80th anniversary, but only time will tell. Let me know in the comments what you guys think Mattel is going to do for the anniversary. But be realistic here. Now we get on to things that I am personally the most excited about. In 2024, we are going to be getting two very monumental documentaries of Thomas the Tank Engine. The first one, of course, being An Unlikely Fandom. This documentary saw its mini press release and fan screening late last year, and will be getting its Blu-ray release in 2024 for backers. I myself backed the project back in early 2020, so I've secured myself a copy and will be doing a full in-depth review and unboxing when it arrives. If you remember, I was lucky enough to watch an early cut of this documentary not so long ago, and my non-spoiler review is up on my channel if you want to go and watch. Now you might be thinking, what's the other one? The other documentary is one that you've probably heard of, the Thomas the Tank Engine Man. The Thomas the Tank Engine Man will be getting a Blu-ray release in the upcoming years by Nicholas Jones, the original creator of the documentary from 1994. The documentary will be getting a brand new 1080p rescan and will undoubtedly look phenomenal. And much like an Unlikely Fandom, I will be doing an unboxing and in-depth review of the documentary when it releases in either 2024 or 2025. The Thomas merchandise scene has been a very interesting place the last few years. Play-Rel's mainline motorised engines transitioned from the CGI series to All Engines Go. Trackmaster did the same with both its motorised engines and die-cast ones, which actually looked pretty good if I'm honest. And the very short-lived Thomas Wooden Railway V2 kind of just disappeared, with the line never even getting an in-store release in the UK, with the only way of purchasing the items being through websites like Totally Thomas and eBay. So it's been pretty bleak for the mainline Thomas merch. However, there's been one merch line that has silently been powering through these last couple of years, that being Bachmann. Bachmann has always been a fascinating company to me. Most of their models are really damn good, but are held down by their mostly awful faces and extortionate prices. And while the price issue hasn't changed, if anything I would say it's gotten worse, they've actually been doing a really good job with their models recently. They've been continuing their N-Score line for the narrow gauge engines and also the main cast, and of course they recently made Ryan and Bo of all characters. They also recently revealed that they're going to be making Rebecca, which is really cool if you ask me, and the man himself, Stanley. A model that I and everybody else has been campaigning for them to make for it seems like decades now. I don't collect Bachmann myself as I unfortunately don't have the space on my shelf or the funds to do so, but it's really nice to see a premium series of Thomas merch in which the company who makes the models are still prioritising characters from the CGI series. I'm very much hoping they make Nia at some point. I don't like her or Rebecca, but premium models of those guys would be a sight to behold, regardless of my personal bias against them.
Hey again guys, so Sean dragged me in here by my collar saying, yo, write a segment for me in 3 seconds about what the future of Thomas is or I'll paint all the running boards on your take-alongs white. I want to elaborate before I start going on that this is all from an outsider's perspective. You know, I don't keep up with All Engines Go like other people do, but I keep up enough with the toys and stuff to formulate a decent enough opinion on it, so yeah. I want to say the show is doing decent, considering Mattel keeps greenlighting it, but I can't imagine the success and profit of it is massive, considering it's a really cheap show to produce compared to, like, the CGI series, but it's enough to justify them going, yeah, fuck it, let's do 2 more seasons. It's been 3 years since the reboot was announced, and people are still saying how it's a complete bastardization of the franchise, with news outlets even quoting Britt Allcroft from a post on Facebook, which, again, are from, like, 3 years ago. It may be mostly negative, but Thomas is still getting attention. And from my own experience working in a toy shop, I experienced in person seeing fans of the show at like 5 or 6 with their parents asking if we sell the old toys. One time there was this kid who had a take-along Mavis with them, and I called them over by saying, yo, nice Mavis. And then the kid with his dad came over, with the kid showing me the Mavis, and we had a great conversation about the franchise. It was so sweet though. The kid handed me the Mavis to let me hold her and have a look at it, and was really excited for someone to ask about their trains. It was like looking in the past at like a little J who wanted to show off their trains to everyone, because to them they're the coolest thing ever, but to everyone else it's like, the fuck, it's just a piece of plastic, who gives a shit? I asked the kid his favourite character, which was Oliver, by the way, cool choice, and then I told him mine, which you all probably know are Diesel, Murdoch, Toby, Mavis, Duncan, Arthur, them lot. Surprisingly though, the kid knew all of these characters and we went super in depth into like random episodes we like. It wasn't even popular ones, this kid mentioned Snow Engine, but this put a lot into my mind for the rest of the day. That even with this new show out there are probably more kids watching the old episodes on DVDs and YouTube than there are like tuning into the new ones on Milkshake. That just goes to show the longevity of this franchise. It's insane, and in the current era of franchises riding on nostalgia, I'm surprised Thomas hasn't marketed off that. That's what I'm thinking and hoping the Mark Forster movie will be. The movie could potentially be the will they won't they for the future of the franchise, because I highly doubt they'll make it about All Engines Go. But it's so baffling to me that the film is still going forward when it's likely going to be representing an era of Thomas that isn't really a thing anymore. I think the upcoming movie could very, very, very maybe lead to a Thomas renaissance. What do I mean by this? Well, I'm going to use Sonic the Hedgehog as an example because A, it's a good example of what I'm about to explain could and should happen with Thomas, and B, I like Sonic. The first Sonic movie is probably the best thing to happen to the franchise in a long time, because a movie is the absolute best way to draw attention to your franchise, whether it be good or bad. For the non-Sonic fans out there, I'm going to describe what it was like before the movie came out. We had just come off the train wreck that was Sonic Boom's failure, Forces was... Merch was really scarce because of the failure of Boom, and the only thing on people's minds about Sonic is how it was good in the 90s, but now it's a complete fucking joke. Now in 2023, after the movies came out, we get full aisles in toy shops dedicated to Sonic, all the action figures and merch you can think of, a new Netflix show, a really successful sequel to the first movie with an upcoming third, which looks fucking awesome by the way. We haven't even seen any of it, bro. Shadow's shoes look lit. Say what you want about the post-movie games, but they're much better quality than the shit we were getting before. And best of all, it caused the new generations of kids to now become fans of the franchise, including myself. It may be hard for you all who know me to believe, but I didn't really give a shit about Sonic before the movie came out. I was a Mario kid, and look at me now. I can't get enough of the blue blur. I wear red shoes because of Sonic, for fuck's sake. The upcoming movie is what Thomas needs to get back into the public eye again in a positive way, and it's up to the higher-ups whether they want to go forward with that or not. With the immense success of the Barbie movie, I have pretty high hopes that at the very least they'll put out a quality film that honors the near 80-year legacy of this franchise. All we can really do now is wait till that first teaser drops and everyone is either really grossed out or super hyped at a realistic portrayal of Thomas on the big screen. To put it short, this movie could change the future of this franchise. Thomas is one of the most iconic characters in the world, and if the main source of attention and income for a franchise does well, I think it's safe to expect Thomas is not going to run out of steam anytime soon. Steam? Fuck off, Jay, that's so stupid. Right, I gotta go back to force feeding Sean pizza now, so... Fuck, what does he do for an outro? Oh yeah, he doesn't. Let me do one of mine then.